We're going to get into Garrett's question now
Let's do
because
it.
we didn't have time last
Let's
week.
do
We're
it.
talking about Marvel and MCU. So if you joined Patreon like Garrett did, you get to ask a question for us and we
Thank you,
answer it
Garrett.
here on the podcast. So he said it was very hard, but he said, what is your dream scenario with the Spider-Man situation? If they have one full movie and one other movie he can be included in, which is the best way to leave it? Kill him off, leave it open? What other ideas? So we've talked about this a little bit, but I feel like we haven't talked about this necessarily since we've had the good old Morbius trailer drop off a nuke shell on us. So what is your, not even what's your think, what do you want? Like Feige comes to you and says you can do anything. What do you want them to do with Spider-Man?
Oh man, it's interesting. I feel like they've almost cornered themselves a bit in terms of what I personally want. Like this
Yeah.
isn't really my Spider-Man. I still
Not
like
my Spider-Man.
no hashtag not my Spider-Man. I still really like a lot of stuff we've gotten, but I don't love it. So I don't know. I wish I had like a big complex answer for this, but
Yeah.
really, like I feel like I'm in a weird spot with MCU stuff where we had like the Infinity Saga, and it's like kind of interesting to look back on that now. Now that we're a few months past it, and it's like that's pretty fucking wild what they did there, right? Like stringing 20 whatever it is movies together.
movies.
I mean, some of them, a lot of them are just kind of like one-off things and don't maybe matter so much in the grand scheme of it, but like still pretty crazy. And so I feel like I'm at a point now where like let's just get as weird as possible. Let's just do some crazy stuff. Obviously, like there's story reasons why that stuff could happen now with multiverses and all that jazz. So I don't know. Like I think one is they definitely shouldn't kill off Spidey, that is, because
What an F you to Sony. They kill him off in their Marvel movie. And
Sony wouldn't care. They'd be like, he's
we'll
just
bring
kidding.
him back. Yeah.
I don't think you should kill him off, one, because I mean, one, that just closes off the doorway. You can never use them again. Like, look at Cap. Cap is still chilling. He's not. We're not going to see Captain America for a while, but maybe a Captain America with Chris Evans, I should say. But he's still around. He could still
They got
kick
that
it
card
and come
anytime
back.
they want it.
Yeah, but he's still kind of signed off for the time being. And like, you know, because of the craziness of this world, like they could bring back Tony Stark at some point too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They should keep the door open. Just who knows what's going to happen with Sony down the line, right? Like what deals are going to get signed behind closed doors. So you got to keep Spidey open then in that sense.
Because also there's been talks of Sony selling, and if Sony sells the rights revert back to Marvel, those won't go in the deal. So I think they're secretly hoping that like Apple buys them and they don't even have to spend any money and they just get Spidey back. But that has to be the equation.
Yeah,
right?
but I don't think you kill him for that reason, but also because I just feel like we've had a lot of big deaths happening lately within the greater MCU. So maybe that would, like, I don't know. I guess the thing is that could happen 2 years from now. Like we don't know when. Well, there's like a tentative date for Spidey 3?
They have a full date. It's next year, summer, July.
Yeah, so that's pretty close. But then we don't know where his like last team up movie
we don't know
is going to
that,
be. So you'd have to imagine if they're going to kill him off, they do that in a Spider-Man 3 or something, but I really don't think they'll do that.
Plus, Holland's young. Like he wants to play the character, and I feel like he's still like in his 20s.
He's a great Peter Parker.
I feel like they'd want to keep him there till he ages up. You know, like they don't have that worry of the clock. You know?
But I don't think I have a great answer for what like team up sort of role. So what do you guys think? Where would you want to see him?
I really like the whole multiverse idea. Obviously, we've got it with Spider-Verse, but just like possibly seeing like Downey again, like in that Iron Man suit or something. Like he goes to another world and he's just like still kicking. I don't know, just
Secret Wars kind of thing.
Secret. Oh, that's my dream scenario. I can't see it happening.
That
in
would
MCU.
probably be my dream scenario too. Yeah.
Another one. I mean, I still want to see a good like Sinister Six like battle.
Yeah.
But again, like when you take a step back and try and just think of like the usage of Spider-Man to this point in the MCU, like obviously he's had his standalone movies, but those are just such on like a lower scale of like danger compared to what he's been used in, like obviously Infinity War, Endgame. So I've always thought he's just been like with like the Avengers, he's just been such a good like little addition to him, because he gives you, like for me, I just love seeing anyone in a Spider-Man suit on the big screen. So I'm just hyped seeing him there. He's got the good quips. He's young. He's got that good look for the Spider-Man. But for his own movies, it's tough to see like, I don't know, a big scale battle other than, I mean, you throw out the Spider-Verse, throw out the Sinister Six, but I don't know. I feel like Spider-Verse is just too big to tackle like in the MCU, because we just haven't seen other like things Spider-Man related in these MCU movies to the past. Like you have the Venom where you see some like symbiotes get introduced, but that's, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna touch upon that in the MCU. I feel like they're gonna leave that on their own.
That's where you wonder if Feige or the team, anyone there, is in the same boat that I am, where it's like, okay, we did the Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
We landed it. We stuck that landing somehow. It's like pretty wild that they did. Like, let's just get wild with it now. Let's
Yeah.
do some crazy stuff. Let's bring Toby in there.
Yeah, I still
Multiverse
feel
of Madness, fingers crossed. You know,
Yeah.
Sam Raimi's
Yeah.
directing it, so we've
Oh.
talked about that before. You
That-
never know.
that's amazing. I'm definitely
Yeah,
high
what if
hopes on
that was
one.
Spidey's last team up movie? He was in that movie for like a quick scene.
It wouldn't be.
That would be kind of
It wouldn't be terrible.
not the best way to do it, maybe.
Well, it wouldn't
Unless
be,
you get Toby, because then obviously that's
I don't think
gold.
I don't think it would be out of the question either, just because I don't think they're gonna, because I think they already got Scarlet Witch in so much. But
They've-
I don't
yeah,
think it's out of
pretty
the
busy.
I don't think it's out of the realm just because it's that same year, so they could use it as like a lead in, like he's
Yeah,
in that
true.
movie, and then the next MCU movie is the Spider-Man,
oh
send
man,
off.
there's
yeah.
I feel like there's already so much leaning on Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
It's,
that's
like,
a big movie.
scary.
That one has to hit.
Yeah.
It's coming out a year from now. Scary.
Oh yeah, Sam Raimi's just starting on it now.
Oh.
I
Well-
predict it's getting pushed. We'll see if that happens.
yeah.
I still feel like the most likely scenario is like a Sinister Six though, just because like they've already
With Marvel or with the Sony films though, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's
That
the
is a good
problem. I
question.
don't know.
look
if
at
they,
look at Vulture now. He's out there hanging out with
well,
Morbius.
you got Vulture and Scorpion that have like they've been introduced
Introduced,
in the MCU movies.
Venom.
Shocker.
Yeah, you got Venom, Shock.
you have Morbius.
I mean, not that
I
Shocker.
forgot about Shocker.
Not that Shocker would be part of that.
the actor
oh.
forgot he played Shocker. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
Oh, that's who I played.
we should
just
interview him.
Taser
like,
Man.
what am I here for?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking like that's the most likely because you get kind of a big like ensemble of villains, but it's not world ending. That
Mhm.
like Spidey could take them on his own, maybe with a couple like side characters helping him out. Not
Yeah.
you don't need
Throw
like
Ant-Man in there.
yeah you don't need the Hulk and all the
Or
I mean
Deadpool in
Smart
there.
Hulk I guess at this point.
Oh, Deadpool. That's the dream.
That's
That's another dream scenario. My dream
Oh,
scenario is
yeah.
definitely Secret Wars and then Deadpool with
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
we still.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, we
everyone
are.
wants
luckily, we're getting closer to summer, but I am still surprised. Fox was bought over 2 years ago, and we've still not gotten anything official announced about
yeah,
Deadpool.
that's crazy.
One of the biggest like franchises in
Yeah.
the world. Not even like, and we all know like, oh yeah, something's in the works, but it's like just still nothing. And
Do you
that's
think-
why it worries me with all these other talks about, like we just talked about rated R. Like I know even the writers have been like, well, we've talked to Disney, it says it's rated R, and everyone's like, oh look, they've said that. It's like things can change in a fucking dime. One day
Yeah.
Scott Derrickson thought he was directing Doctor Strange,
Yeah,
a horror
one-
movie, and the next day
one
he
time,
wasn't.
one day Hillary Duff goes on her honeymoon, comes back, and the fucking
Yeah.
showrunner got fired.
So I don't believe everyone be like, well, the writers already said they gave them the go. It's like that could change. And maybe Bob Chopstick is like, no, we're not going to do this.
Look
So-
at New Mutants, this movie that's been
Yeah.
in limbo for years.
So like I feel like
Forgot about
I
that.
will not believe it's radar till we're sitting in the theater and we see like a Disney logo and we're like, oh, it is radar. Here we go. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Until you're in the theater. I mean, look at fucking Cats. You can patch movies now. Until
Yeah.
you're in the theater, sitting down, who
Yeah.
knows?
even then you gotta wait for the Blu-ray because there is new versions of Cats after people.
Yeah, there
saw
you
it.
go. You gotta watch the
Patch
most recent
notes.
version.
yeah. I'll go first
Jesus.
because I think Taylor, you and I are kind of in the same boat. I think this is a good spot to end the relationship with the MCU and Spider-Man until I think they just gotta sit tight and hope that someone does buy Sony and they just get the rights. I think you've done a lot. I think you did the whole Tony Stark mentor thing. I thought you got to do the send-off
Mhm.
in Spider-Man 2. Give him another film, use him to cash in for a crossover. I'm the same as Taylor. I don't like any of this Morbius Venom stuff going on. I see these Venom set photos of
You don't like Carnage?
Woody Harrelson.
That
And I'm
hair.
Just, I just like
Oof,
I don't
Carnage.
like this. I know it's like adjacent to it, but I don't like this at all. Being I don't want any mainstream people being like, oh, this is a movie that Kevin Feige or the MCU. Like
Yeah.
I don't like these connections. I don't want it, and I hate that. I feel like they're like taking his meal a little bit that he created. It's not theirs, and I get that that's the deal that was made that we get to reference the MCU. I just think that Feige to me, and who knows, because maybe he leaves and maybe that's what keeps it going. The next guy keeps over Feige, doesn't care. Feige to me just seems like he cares so much about continuity that I feel like there's a part of him that it just bugs the shit out of him when he sees that Morbius trailer and he's like, man, I casted Michael Keaton. They didn't do that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and that's I think they'll do these next two films together, and then I think they'll say goodbye for now, and I think the door will be open down the line. Even Tom Holland, because Onward's coming out, he said that Sony does have a scenario for if they write him out, like a plan. So they've already talked about it, obviously. So
Yeah,
I think this is a good time to split apart. Hopefully something happens, and maybe nothing happens. Maybe Sony doesn't get bought, but then just maybe in 5 years from now, they go, oh, let's do another film together. Maybe Sony puts out a couple of bombs and stinkers, and they kind of go, because that's how this happened, right? Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out. Almost everyone hated it, and it did not well at the box office. So they went to them and said, well, we'll team up with you now. That's all has to happen again is maybe Morbius isn't great. Maybe Venom 2 is not that great. And then they kind of go, okay, do whatever you want. Just help us rebuild Spider-Man and make these films. So that's why I think for now, I think they should say goodbye. They got so many characters. In the next 5 years, we're going to get an X-Men Fantastic Four. I'm not saying you don't need Spider-Man, but you don't need him. The MCU was huge.
At least not
before
at the
Spider-Man.
beginning. I don't think. Like, that's a character you could always introduce later on. Like, if you have a couple successful Fantastic Four movies, and then all of a sudden Johnny Storm is out swinging with Spidey, you know, Manhattan.
Or Wolverine bumps into Peter Parker and they set up that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I got to shout on Disney Plus. I'm watching Ultimate Spider-Man. There's a great episode called Freaky. Wolverine and Spider-Man switch bodies. It's one of the best animated epidodes I've ever seen. If you know what show, I'd say just watch that one. It's great.
I've seen a few episodes of that one.
Huge. Oh, no, not huge. Jesus. Wolverine is like flirting with MJ, and it's just really.
When was that show made?
I think it's like 2012, 13-ish, because they like, of course, canceled it and like created their own Spider-Man that's like close to the MCU. It's like, oh, I love when you do that. But yeah, I think this is a good time to say goodbye, and Sony can go make a Spider-Man 4 on their own, see how it goes, and then I think they might flop that because other than Spider-Verse, I was not a fan of Venom 2. I don't think I'm going to be a fan of Morbius, even though that trailer's fine. But Taylor, what do you... Oh, sorry, Kurt,
I just want a quick question. For Spider-Man and Sony, do they just own the rights forever or until they sell it? Or is there like
they have to make a film like every 3 years, which they're clearly doing between Morbius and Venom, right?
3 years,
Yeah, so I think it's 3 or 5, but it's something like the second you make it, you get another 3 years. Second you make it, so that's how, like even before, like that's how Marvel got Daredevil, Blade, and somebody else back, that they just let the rights... Fox had Daredevil. They just let the rights expire. They didn't even have to buy them back. It's just they never made a Daredevil movie, and they just took it.
That's just in their contract. That's
then that's what it was.
Super weird.
Yeah. So that's what would happen. But clearly... they're making Venom, Morbius, and Spider-Man. It's
and
like
all those count.
Yeah, they're always getting reset. So that
would a game be counted, or is that different because it's not?
I don't think a game would count.
Different.
No, I think they're separate. And even I forgot, even Spider-Verse would count too.
Yeah,
so
right.
Even when they
that's like 2 years from now, right?
Yeah, that's
or 21.
No, 2022.
It is 22.
Yeah.
So they're good to go.
Yeah. So even then, think 2 years after Spider-Man 3, boom, Spider-Verse, they're set. So
cash cow.
They'll never let that go away.
Yeah.
Taylor.
I think that they're bastards, to be honest. I think
bastards.
Yeah.
I don't
Who's
like
they?
it. You're offended by this.
Sony.
I think that.
I wonder the PlayStation hater. I wonder, wonder where that comes from.
He just wants an Xbox game.
They're trying to ride off the success of others. I think, I agree with you, Travis. I think Feige, he just put a prime rib in and he just pulled it out. He's ready to go. And he's going to have a nice meal with his wife. It's going to be great. And then that friend.
I don't know if he's married.
He's vegetarian as well.
That friend that you like. Who just invites himself over, just knocked on the door and swung it open like, hey, fam, I'm going to have some ribeye with you guys. And he just sits down and starts shoving it down his throat. And Feige's like polite about it, but like allowing it because he's got a bigger picture in mind. Maybe he's got some sinister idea of what's going to go down. And I think that's the play here. I think Feige has,
Why does it have to be a sinister idea?
Sinister Six.
Oh, okay.
I think...
Insidious.
I think Feige would not have gone through with this deal to allow them to use certain aspects if they could continue using Spider-Man, if it didn't mean that he has some alternative endgame, in mind for
Dropping
Spider-Man.
a lot
All
of
these puns,
Yeah, I know.
A lot of clever wordplay.
Personally, I do think that everyone who got snapped in Infinity War is not going to die in these next future upcoming Marvel movies. I think they're all safe. So I don't think they're going to kill Spider-Man off. I think they're going to keep him alive. I also think that if we do see him paired up in this co-compadre film, I think it'll be a...
That's what it's called, Spider-Man. Far from co-compadres.
I think he'll be with the... I don't know. For some reason, I think he'll be paired with Fantastic Four. I think that's just my kind of pick.
I think that's a little... That's next year, though, then. That means they got to introduce Fantastic Four in, like, Black Widow or Eternals. That's quick.
I think that'll come after Spider-Man 3. I think Spider-Man 3 will continue like the journey and it'll kind of like end it off in a nice way, and then we'll get like that side bit of Spider-Man, kind of like how we got Spider-Man in Civil War, and it was an intro and an outro of him, and we didn't like that could have been it, and it would have been all we all we needed, but that could have been.
Oh, you're talking the crossover. I thought you were talking about his film. I'm like, that's a wild timeline. Fantastic Four is gonna be the MCU in less than a year.
No, but I think that the crossover will be him with the Fantastic Four. He'll pop back in for a little bit.
That's where Spider-Man debuted. That was his first comic in Fantastic Four.
That's an interesting way to go about it, right? Helps bring some popularity to Fantastic Four.
What did you say?
What year?
What? Oh, I think it's like 1964 or something like that. I don't know that much. I know it costs. I know it costs a lot to get it, but
probably pretty early on.
Oh, you can be done, but I wasn't sure.
I'm just really peeved at how Sony is just, like, oh, you got
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, we're just gonna snake him over and use him. And like again, when you said those set photos of Woody Harrelson,
Oh,
like you sent it, and I thought it was a joke.
no,
Like,
it's not.
this-
It's real.
His
Like
bangs.
his
Bangs made
hair
me cringe a little
got
bit.
worse. Like
That's our boy Andy Serkis.
I respect the
tattoo.
shirt. It's very Cletus.
August 1962 is when he debuted. I was 2 years old.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Damn.
I
Bad at your trivia.
Yeah.
I can't fathom how or why they're doing this. Like it's just
You can't?
I can't.
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
but
Yeah, but
how?
that's the ultimate.
They have the rights, so they can do
But
it.
are
so
they
that's the
spending
how.
all the money on his disgusting bangs, or what are they doing? Like
They lost
Oh, you're talking
budget
about
on his
Cletus.
haircut. So
They
they're
yeah,
like,
Cletus. Like
yeah.
like where is all like if they have so much money, they should be changing that fucking
Yeah, but-
design.
All right, but okay, we saw some like blurry screenshot. Like, who knows what it's gonna be in the
yeah,
movie? you
I'm
know?
with
Oh, it
that.
wasn't blurry. I think that was a pretty defining image of.
Yeah, but like in the
Cletus's
movie,
bangs.
how
I've
much is
seen
that gonna?
Venom. Look at that post-credit scene. I'm not giving them any benefit of the doubt. Look at what they did to him in that scene.
Look what you did to my boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they butchered my boy.
It's gonna be carnage.
That's fair. That's fair. I
They're-
feel like,
I mean,
like,
I'm not gonna defend Cletus. I'm
Yeah, I
just-
feel like you're putting too
I just
much
have a hard
though on
time.
that screenshot.
Yeah.
No,
It's
that's
just the fact
everything.
that it's attached.
Is that everything?
You know?
That's everything.
It's just that
Yeah.
it's attached. I feel like
Yeah,
Sony.
that guy's in the MCU if he looks like that.
I just feel like Sony could have like
There's been worse characters
hit their
in the MCU.
stride, kind of going with like the multiverse of like the Spider-Verse. I
Don't
feel like
bring up
that was
Malekith.
like they hit their like golden nugget with that, and I
Yeah.
feel like they could have kept going down that track and just keep doing their thing. Because like we had the Marvel movies, while they did the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I think that's fine. They could have even done their own Spider-Man. That would have been fine, but they went because they were aware that Tom Holland was with the MCU, so they went ahead and did Miles Morales, which I think is great. I still think maybe the MCU kind of figures out a way to incorporate Miles Morales into there to replace Tom Holland's
But they
Spider-Man.
couldn't.
That's a Sony
Well, how were
property
they
still.
able to get his uncle then?
What do you mean get his uncle?
Well, the uncle.
Well, they can use the characters, but the second that deal,
Oh, yeah,
You
that
they can use any character they want. They gotta talk to Sony, but the second that deal's done, they can't use any of those characters. So Michael Keaton could never be in the MCU. I
Yeah.
think.
Could they ever
You
just
wouldn't
be
want
like,
them to be
no, I don't
integral.
want you to have Uncle Ben?
What?
Could they ever do that?
Yeah, they could. Yeah. For some reason, Sony wanted to be a dick about it. Like, there's no Uncle Ben in these movies. It has to be Iron Man.
They
but
probably had a high price on Uncle Ben. That's why we haven't
yeah,
seen him.
yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so
So he's like, I don't know if that's worth the extra schmeckles on.
so once that deal's done, it's over.
So if the deal's done, do they still own the characters like Ned and?
That's a tricky thing that people have brought up, but no, because I think there's some percentage-wise that allows them not to do that with Marvel. But because Marvel, I think they get a certain percent of the creative, but if they got a little bit over, they could.
I'll tell you one thing. There's a price on Ned though.
Yeah.
MCU would sell him
It's a
back.
price
And
on his
Ned,
head.
Ned, no, because Ned is a comic book character.
Oh, is he actually?
Yeah,
Oh,
he becomes a
okay.
hobgoblin at one point.
Is Happy a comic book character?
What? Yeah, but he's Iron Man, remember? So we're good. Happy Hogan.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so
that's
we're
true.
fine.
What about because MJ isn't like Mary Jane?
That's been the
Parker.
debate
Or
of.
what-
That's
not
why the
Parker, what-
percentage isn't there because they say it's not Mary Jane, it's MJ.
Yeah.
So that's where if there was that percentage, they say, "Oh, we're gonna take."
And like her
Zendaya back
name
with
is
us.
different. It's
Yeah,
not.
It's
yeah.
Michelle. Yeah.
Yeah, Michelle.
But that's why Sony made
There
sure
you
they
go.
didn't get that.
Zendaya's
certain,
staying
They
with
didn't get that
Zendaya's
certain
got price on
percentage.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah. MCU will
Her
sell it.
name is
So.
not Mary Jane. It's what Michelle something.
Well, yeah, but
Michelle
remember it's
Obama.
just MJ too.
Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama.
It's
Jane.
canon. Obama's the villain. He's Green
MOJ.
Goblin. He's gonna be the new
I'd
Stormy
actually
Norman.
be down for that.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just
Only in the
Norman.
Sonyverse though. MCU couldn't pull it off. Sonyverse because it's so weird, it could pull it
Green
off.
Goblin starring Barack Obama and Jared Leto.
And Jared Leto as the same character.
Yeah, he's
Let's
gonna.
not
He's
Come
like
throw
the
Jared
wicked
Leto
Green
in there.
Goblin.
Mhm.
Oh, that was another good one.
There you go, Garrett. We hope we answered your question. We thank you for joining the team
Good
and all the
question,
support.
Garrett.
So yeah, that was a good one. And
Go Spidey.
we'll see. I'm sure Spidey will have
What
a
do
deal.
you want to see with
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Spidey? Garrett, tell us your theory and we'll share it on the next episode.